the hospitality dining room at CLB. And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making chicken marsala. So what is chicken marsala? Chicken marsala is a pan-fried chicken breast that is pan-fried to a golden brown color. It's also made with mushrooms and a marsala wine sauce. So in our recipe, and if you have noticed on our menu, a lot of times it's called chicken scallopini marsala. All scallopini means is a thin cutlet of meat, and it's in Italian. And so we're going to go ahead and begin by going ahead and we're going to start pounding out chicken. Okay, for this step, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pounding out this chicken breast. So why do we pound it out? Well, it's pretty much just make it as thin as possible and as even as possible so that when we're cooking it in our pan or however you choose to cook it in, that it cooks evenly all the way through. In a lot of cases, unfortunately, some parts of the chicken, like the thinner parts, will cook faster than the thicker, and in turn, drying out part of your chicken breast and undercooking another part of it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some saran wrap and lay the chicken on top, and then put another saran wrap on top. And the reason why I'm doing this is that when I go to tenderize this chicken breast, the juices aren't going to be going like all over the place, and that's a mess that we don't really want to deal with. So, and another question that some people may ask is that, as you can see, I have this red cutting board. Pretty much, we use cutting boards in the kitchen that are color coded based on what we're using it for. So, with raw meats, we use red cutting boards. And so, in this case, since I'm using chicken, I'm going to be using it on this red cutting board while I pound it. The same goes with any kind of raw meat that we might be slicing or anything like that. So I'll go ahead and pound this out. And with pounding chicken, we try to use the flat side of the tenderizer. If you use the parts that actually have any kind of indentations, it damages the chicken, then versus actually like tenderizing. So what we're going to do after that, we're going to take the chicken breast and put it in our flour dredge. And what is a flour dredge? Well, all flour dredge is an all-purpose flour, usually seasoned with salt and pepper. And with this case here, it's Carroll Lutheran Village. We go very light on salt and pepper, obviously for people that have low sodium requirements, and at the same time, pepper can also be a very strong ingredient. So we try to monitor that and try to appease everybody's flavor. And what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be taking our next ingredient and preparing it for cooking. So before I do that, I'm going to be putting on one of these gloves. This is a cutting glove, and the purpose of a cut glove is to protect your hand from sharp objects such as knives. Many times that people have cut their fingers cutting different things. So here at CLB, we use these to try to protect ourselves against any potential harm. So at the same time, with a cutting glove, I cannot touch the product directly with the glove. So I have to also make sure that I put a nitrile or vinyl glove over top of it. So what I have in front of me right now is a shallot. And what is a shallot? A shallot is kind of like in the onion family. And the reason why we're going to be utilizing this is because with the cellular structure of the shallot, it kind of like just melts in the pan as you cook it. It actually works as a great substitution for onions and garlic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this up very fine, almost like a mince. And by doing so, I make a couple incisions running down the shallot. And I'm going to try to make that as small as I possibly can. And by doing so, the thinner my cuts are, and then for the next step, when I go to cut it further, it should come out very tiny. And I dispose of the end. We do not want the roots in our meal. Just continue to further chop it up. At that point, that's pretty much where I want my shallots to be. So it's very tiny, tiny, tiny size, less than probably a quarter inch. And I'll put that and move that forward. I will move my knife off to the side for the time being, and I will clean that afterwards. And so for the next step, so what we're gonna do first, I'm gonna turn on my little burner that I have right here. Set that to an appropriate temperature. And then I'm gonna take some olive oil and I'm going to put it into my non-stick frying pan. So what I have to wait for, more or less, is for the oil to heat up. If when I can tell that it's hot enough is if I'm looking at the oil, I'll start seeing ripples in it, kind of like you would see it in, like on top of a pond or in the ocean. It's not on a giant magnitude or anything like that, but that's what I'm looking for is when it's hot enough, it will ripple like water. So in about a couple seconds, it looks like it will be there. So then I'm going to take my chicken breast and fully dredge it in the flour. Toss it in there nice and evenly. And it looks like my oil is pretty much right then and there. Put that off to the side. Change my gloves. And what we're going to do, we're going to wait for that to cook. And so with that cooking, what we're going to do is kind of just get our other ingredients prepared. And unfortunately for this video, I went ahead and I already kind of pre-portioned down some of my other ingredients, and I can kind of run through with you what they are. So for the rest of our meal, what we're going to be using is these 4 ingredients right here besides the shallots, and this is all gets incorporated in the dish. So here I have some sliced cremini mushrooms. That's what we're going to be using for our marsala sauce today. This here is some pre-done Demi Glaze, and I will further explain what that is. Some parsley as a garnish, and then the most crucial ingredient, what makes it chicken marsala wine. So I'll go ahead, I'm going to take this and flip this chicken. Obviously, we always try to use all kinds of devices such as tongs, spatula, to turn our proteins while we're cooking. I roll back the heat a little bit. Alright, so what we're going to end up doing for the next step after I am actually finished cooking the chicken, with what I'll end up doing, kind of holding off to the side while I prepare the rest of it. But what I'll do is I'll have my shallots, my mushrooms, and for the last ingredient that I need to have for this next step is going to be garlic. And I'm going to take that, smash it, and then chop it up real fine. And now that is incorporated, I can move on to the next step. Alright, so it looks like our chicken is done, so what I'll do, turn the heat off. I will put that into the dish. And for this next step, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my marsala wine, I'm going to deglaze the pan. What we're going to be doing is that we're going to catch on fire. Just kidding. What I'm doing pretty much is I'm burning the alcohol off. You don't want the alcohol actually in there. All we're really trying to do is have the marsala wine flavor left over. So now that that's working, I'm going to go ahead and take my mushrooms, start cooking them real quickly. Kind of sit there for about a minute roughly. Let that soften up, because these next ingredients are going to cook a lot faster than the mushrooms, so you don't want them to burn, because burnt garlic, burnt shallots are not going to taste that great. So it looks like my mushrooms are about ready, so I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of these ingredients, do the shallots and garlic, and add those to the mixture. I'm going to wait for them to get nice and tender. So what I'm looking for is kind of like a translucent look to the shallots, and that's how I'll know when they're finished. Now that we're at that point, everything looks good, what I'm going to end up adding is my Demi Glaze. So what is Demi Glaze? Alright, so Demi Glaze is a rich brown sauce that is half beef stock, half brown sauce. The word Demi actually means half, so that makes it pretty cool and interesting. And glaze is pretty much saying a glaze. So what I'll do is I'll take this mixture and I'll go ahead and add it to my pan. And what's going to end up happening is, as it cooks, it's going to thicken up very quickly. It will not take very long. So now it's at that point now. So I'm going to pull that off the heat and let that sit there really quick. Go ahead and dispose of my waste that's sitting in front of me. Just put it out of the way and prepare my plate. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and top this off with the marsala sauce. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my garnish right on top. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we have chicken marsala. And this coming Monday, we will be serving that for dinner or service all day long. So hopefully you guys order it and enjoy it. Thank you.